Dexter Resurrection just dropped, and there is already so much to unpack. Let's look at some of the most interesting plot points and theories so far. In the first episode, we find Dexter in the hospital, still comatose following the gunshot to the chest. After a series of dreams that brought back a myriad of characters many of us were missing, including Arthur Mitchell, Miguel Prado, Harry Morgan, and James Dokes, Dexter wakes up from his coma after 10 weeks. Shortly thereafter, Teddy comes to visit Dexter with an envelope from Angela that he clearly hadn't opened. Inside was a picture of her and her adopted daughter Audrey with a note on the back telling him that they were even and to get the hell out of Iron Lake. After he delivers the package, Teddy tells Dexter what Angela told him before leaving town.
Angela was so sorry about mistakenly arresting you for the murder of Matt Caldwell. Obviously, it turned out his dad.
Teddy informs Dexter that Angela felt bad for arresting him for the murder of Matt Caldwell, which she all but definitely knew he committed. Angela found the screws from Matt's surgery in the ashes of Dexter's house, which Kurt Caldwell, Matt's father, had burned down, and she received a letter saying Jim Lindsay killed Matt Caldwell. And though those two things aren't definitive, they are pretty close to it. Not only that, but he killed Logan, her co-worker and friend, and left his body on the floor of the jail and escaped. Teddy explains this away by claiming that it was clear that Logan shot first, meaning that Dexter was only defending himself. But she knows Logan. He wouldn't have just shot at Dexter for no reason. Logan shot at Dexter because he rammed him into the bars of his cell, had him in a chokehold, and was demanding the jail cell keys.
Just give me the keys.
Under no circumstances would Logan have just entered the holding area and started shooting. And is Iron Lake's police department the only one in the country without cameras? There is simply no way that anyone would believe that Logan was trying to kill or even wound Dexter without cause. When Matt Caldwell was killed, they had a keen forensic investigator there to break it all down perfectly. Had he been called back for Logan's death, he would have known the angle at which Logan was shooting and determined that he was already in the chokehold that snapped his neck before he got a shot off. So why wasn't there any forensic analysis for Logan's death? It's all a bit too convenient. Also, Dexter broke out of jail. That is a crime all its own. How could they just completely overlook all of the evidence Angela had acquired? The fake identity, the screws in his house, the note she received, the will marks, his prison break, everything. If not for the murder of Matt, there were still charges that Dexter had to face, or at least answer for in court.
No, that's okay.
But none came. It's implausible. Iron Lake has few resources, but I think killing a cop and breaking out of jail are worth an investigation and a trial at the very least. Teddy was the dimmest cop on the force, so I could see him not understanding many things and wanting to just make it all go away, but it's odd that Angela, someone who discovered that her boyfriend was a probable serial killer who killed her friend, had a fake identity and a hidden child, didn't need to be put away. So why would she cover for him? Well, there are a few theories. One, she clearly cared about Harrison. She knew he shot his dad, which is obviously a crime, but she hugged him and told him to leave town rather than arresting him. She claimed to be the one to shoot Dexter, even though he was shot with a rifle and not her police-issued firearm, so that Harrison could escape.
Do you want to press charges against Chief Angela Bishop shooting you?
She had a soft spot for Harrison, and maybe that's why she didn't want to see Dexter go to prison, so that he could be there for his son should he ever wake up from his coma. The second reason may have been because she was scared. Dexter clearly had the means and motivation to kill her if it meant he could go free. He'd already killed Logan. Knowing that she had to take care of Audrey and perhaps just wanting to stay alive herself, letting Dexter off the hook and skipping town may have seemed like the safest option to ensure that no one came after her or her loved ones. Angela had already faced a great loss with the death of her friend Iris, and was undoubtedly uninterested in suffering through anything like that again. Which brings us to the third theory. She probably knew that Dexter killed Matt Caldwell, and when she noticed that his father, Kurt, was no longer around, she may have figured that Dexter had killed him as well. Given that Angela was certain Kurt Caldwell was responsible for Iris's murder, as well as so many other women in her community, she may have been begrudgingly grateful to Dexter for eliminating him. That would explain the part of her note that said, "We're even." Even if Angela wanted to let Dexter off the hook for her own personal reasons, that still doesn't explain why everyone else turned a blind eye to his escape from jail and the murder of Officer Logan. But Teddy bought it all, hook, line, and sinker, and even asked Dexter if he was going to pursue charges against the police department in Iron Lake for Angela Bishop shooting him. A man who, at the very least, definitely killed a cop and was on the run. Throughout history, police have shot people over less, guilty or not. There's just no way that even if Dexter wanted to file a lawsuit, that it would have gone anywhere. It's very confusing, convoluted, and again, way too convenient, but it keeps Dexter a free man, so who's really complaining? Harrison has settled nicely into his new life in New York City.
Homework first. I'm not going to lead him astray. I'm not a high school dropout anymore.
Okay, great.
But it's evident early on that he is tormented by his time in Iron Lake. He is working as a bellboy in an upscale hotel where he takes care of any needs the guests have, no matter how random. As he is helping a couple with their bags up to their room, inside the elevator, he all but hallucinates being back in the woods in Iron Lake where he thought he killed his father. He hears a gunshot and a blood trail in the snow trickles away from him, coloring the snow. Later, he has a nightmare in which he ran to Dexter after shooting him, showing remorse, only for Dexter to wake up and scream at him that it didn't have to be that way.
It didn't have to be this way!
Harrison awoke in a cold sweat. He clearly has horrible PTSD, as anyone would, stemming from what he thought was his final interaction with his dad. 18 minutes into the first episode, Harrison has already committed murder and cleaned it up with next to pristine accuracy. It's sad to see how tortured he is and how he is furthering the difficulties in his life, hallucinating, doing cocaine, and even murdering a man. It's arguable that the guy, Ryan, a known serial rapist, deserved it, but as Deb would have told him, that's for the police to deal with. Harrison is going down a dark path, and it's hard to tell if he'll be able to stop. Dexter wasn't going to, not for too long anyway. But Harrison has a different moral code than Dexter. His urge to kill isn't as strong as his father's. With a renewed taste for blood, it's hard to predict if Harrison will continue to kill people he thinks are deserving or not. His PTSD is worsened by killing Ryan. Harrison begins to hallucinate his victim with the swollen, bloody face he had when he died, and perhaps that will be enough to deter Harrison from killing again, or perhaps as his PTSD continues, he will lose touch with his moral code. Either way, his development is a central focus in the show, and we'll all be watching to see how he turns out. In the trailer, Leon Prater is presented as a kind man, welcoming Dexter with open arms. He says that it's so nice to meet him and gives him a hearty handshake.
I cannot express how excited I am to meet you.
Of course, any person purposefully surrounding themselves with serial killers is out of sorts, but he comes off as a generous benefactor and almost philanthropic. Prater's not shown in the first 2 episodes, but his right-hand woman, Charlie, played by Uma Thurman, is. Within the first 2 episodes, we see her carrying out Prater's orders. In the first episode, she delivers an invitation to an unknown serial killer who she calls a psycho upon discovering his trophies.
Fucking psycho.
But it's in the second episode that her character gets a bit more depth. She finds a killer who apparently used to work for or with Prater. As the man tries to get money from an ATM, she startles him and coyly points out that he isn't having any luck withdrawing money and tells him to walk with her. She tells him that he is out. He should never contact her or his boss ever again, and he won't be receiving any more money from them. He rebuffs the information, desperate to remain in contact with whatever organizations Leon has put together. But Charlie insists that it's done. The man threatens her with police and FBI involvement, to which she almost laughs, asking him if he is also willing to tell the FBI that he is a serial killer. After a bit more back and forth, she turns and strikes him with his own murder weapon, which also served as his trophy, a baseball bat with nails in it. Given her job, it would make sense that she would need to keep herself and her boss, Leon, safe. If the man was as desperate as he seemed, he may go to the FBI, and that's the last thing that a crazed billionaire who collects serial killers needs. If Prater's intentions were pure, which, let's be honest, who assumed they would be, cutting desperate people off and having a woman threaten and even kill the people he recruits would not be a part of the business model. Even if he seems kind initially, it's obvious that he finds people disposable and employs people who will take them out if ordered. He is clearly not a nice man, despite what he would like people to believe. What's most interesting, however, is that when Charlie is delivering the package in episode 1, she is offering an invitation to the man we later find out Dexter is stalking to kill. As a man leaves his apartment, she enters, scans the place, finds his trophies, and leaves an envelope of cash with a card. She calls someone, presumably Prater, and says, "Invitation delivered."
Invitation delivered.
If you watch closely, you can see that the man is wearing a hoodie and a backpack that dons the logo of his job on the front pouch. In episode 2, we find out that someone matching that exact description has been targeting rideshare drivers and already has at least 7 victims. He is without a doubt a serial killer, and Leon wanted to recruit him. The only problem is that Dexter is later recruited by Prater as well, as the trailer shows. Dexter is a killer with a code, only killing other killers. So how will Dexter navigate a space that holds several killers, many with no code, and one who he himself is actively hunting? Will Dexter kill all of the other killers that Prater has recruited? Will he be applauded by Prater for doing so? Will he have to kill Prater as well? Time will tell, but he is already at odds with the group before he even joins, and knowing Dexter, they could all be in grave danger. As Dexter lies in his coma, he dreams up many people: his father, the Trinity Killer, Dokes, and Miguel Prado. During his visit with the long-deceased Miguel, Miguel tells him that while there is nobility to his killing other killers, when he ingratiates himself with normal people, innocent people die as well.
People who didn't deserve it found themselves equally as dead.
Seemingly obvious and innocuous at the time, it comes back to mind starkly when we see Harrison in New York City, pretending to be normal. In his time there, Harrison had created new relationships with his coworkers, particularly one Elsa Rivera. She and Harrison were obviously becoming very close. He babysat her kid, she was invested in him getting his GED, and invited him out to drinks. She clearly likes Harrison, and Harrison has an eye for her and her boy. But Harrison is a disturbed killer, and as Miguel ominously mentioned, trying to be normal means death for the innocent people around any killer. Miguel himself attempted to kill his own friend, Maria LaGuerta, to remain free. Rita and Deb died due to their proximity to Dexter. So Miguel isn't exactly wrong. It's also worth noting that Batista asks Teddy, the new chief in Iron Lake, to let him know if Dexter's truck is found or sold, the same truck which Harrison rode out of town after Angela saw him shoot Dexter. In the second episode, Harrison asks one of his friends from work if they want to buy his truck.
Yo, Lance, you want to buy a truck?
It's fair to assume that this will alert Batista to his whereabouts in due time, consequently leading him back to Dexter as well, and we all know what he is willing to do to protect himself and his family. With Harrison possibly being investigated by the police for killing Ryan, Elsa and her son could already be in harm's way. Harrison and Elsa aren't officially an item, but it seems to be heading that way. Will Harrison's involvement in the child's life lead to the death of his mother? Another serial killer could be born from such a tragedy if so. It's possible that Harrison will avoid detection with Dexter's help, but if he continues killing, he could still put the people he cares about in danger. We all hope for a happier ending for Elsa and her son Dante, but given Miguel's warning and Dexter's track record, it's not beyond reason that they may become yet another set of casualties in the saga of Dexter and Harrison Morgan.